All right. We're back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. As usual, I'm your host, Mark Pierce. Today is Sunday, August 23rd. How you doing out there? Yep, we are back in the cave all week. Next week, same thing. We're back at it. What did we miss this week while I was doing themes? Well, we missed a big birthday on Thursday. I did mention it. And you might be able to guess from my shirt today. My shirt doesn't always match Song of the Day, but today it does. We're talking Robert Plant had a birthday on Thursday. He turned 72 years young. Gotta love that guy. Who doesn't love Robert Plant? I mean, this guy is the epitome of 70s rock and roll god, right? I mean, the images of him in those outfits and that hair and those songs, I mean, incredible singer and so charismatic. I mean, what a guy. We'll talk a little bit about him. So, obviously, he's English. He was born in England. Got that part. He wanted to be a singer as soon as he heard Elvis, like so many young kids. By age 10, he said to himself, I want to be Elvis. So he got into the blues and listened to all kinds of blues artists. That's where he got the majority of his influence. He did form a band in 1965 that was called Band of Joy, and that was with John Bonham. They were around for about 3 years. And then Jimmy Page was looking for a singer in 1968. Plant auditioned, sang Somebody to Love from Jefferson Airplane, and that was it. Sealed the deal right then and there, and they formed their band. They were called, at first, their first name was the New Yardbirds, which always cracks me up because that reminds me of Spinal Tap when they say that they were called, they named themselves the Originals, but then they found out there was another band on the east side called the Originals, so they changed their name to the New Originals, and then when the Originals changed their name to the Regulars, they wanted to go back to the Originals, but then they said, well, what's the point? So anyway, that's kind of funny. And then, of course, they became Led Zeppelin. We're not covering Led Zeppelin today, really, because, as I said, I'll be covering all their albums individually, but we all know what Robert Plant did for Led Zeppelin. So let's fast forward to his solo career. That's where I want to concentrate today, because I love a lot of his solo work. He put out his first solo album in, like, 81 or so, right around there. That one I was unaware of at the time, but then he put out this epic record. There were actually many of them, but the one that got my attention originally is 1983's Principle of Moments. You know who the drummer is on those first two solo albums? None other than Phil Collins is the drummer on 6 of the 8 tracks on there. Yes, that's Phil Collins on there. And not only that, but Phil Collins toured as the drummer with Robert Plant for that tour. I mean, that's insane, right? If you saw Principle of Moments, that tour, you were seeing Phil Collins on drums, and that was when Phil Collins was huge in his solo career. I mean, that's insane. He did drums on every date in the U.S. tour that year. So I don't know anyone who saw that, but if you did, I want to hear about it. That record was big on MTV. The song Big Log was obviously huge, and that's a favorite of mine. Also, In the Mood, also a great song, one of my favorite songs as well. And then there was another one on there. What was that name of that song? Other Arms? Yeah, that one was good too. So anyway, that's what got my start on solo Robert Plant, because I was not yet listening to Led Zeppelin at that time. But that was a great record. Then, that was 83. 84, he forms a super group called the Honey Drippers. Who remembers this? WPLR was playing it. As usual, you know, I talk about PLR and influencing my music career. Who were the Honey Drippers? Do you remember? It was Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, Nile Rodgers, and Paul Schaefer. Now, they didn't all do every song, but basically this was a band that was just doing 1950s music, their favorite 50s music. And that song, Sea of Love, was a huge hit. It was the other side that they wanted to be the hit on the B-side, on the A side, but the B-side was played more, and that's what was played on the radio. That song, Sea of Love, their version, great version, we'll post that below. If you don't remember that, maybe you remember it now. So that was 1984. 1985, he puts out another solo record, Shaken and Stirred. Also, I played that record. I had that cassette. I played that over and over again. I love that record. I mean, you might not, I hope you remember this stuff, or you've forgotten it, now you're going to remember it. I mean, this was some great music on there. That record, Shaken and Stirred, had Too Loud on it, which played by PLR, but not a hit, but I really like that song. But Little by Little, that was all over the place. Love that song, Little by Little. And Sixes and Sevens was also played by PLR. Another great song as well. So that was 85. Then comes the mammoth solo record, 1988. I'm in college, and he puts out Now and Zen. This was a big deal. Everyone was talking about it. It was a huge, successful hit. A lot of people love this record. I think it was the most successful solo record. But that record had Ship of Fools, Tall Cool One, Heaven Knows, and guess who's playing guitar on a couple of those tracks? That's none other than Jimmy Page playing the solos on Heaven Knows and Tall Cool One. And they even do Led Zeppelin riff in there in the middle somewhere. So those are some great records. He put out some stuff after that, but that's the meat of what was really, really good about his solo stuff, and just some great music to choose from for Song of the Day. Later on, we'll talk about, just for a second, obviously he did some work, and I love Alison Krauss, but I was just not a fan of what they did together as a collaboration. It just didn't really speak to me, so there's a lot of people out there who absolutely love that stuff, but it wasn't for me. So, Song of the Day, hard to pick. It's hard to pick on birthdays because it's easier to do when they do album releases. You got less choices, but for me, it had to come down to Big Log and Little by Little. Those are my two favorite songs by him. But we're going to go back to Big Log because that's where it all started for me. That was the video that they played all the time. That's what turned me on to him. We'll put a bunch of other stuff under there, but Big Log, good Sunday song for your Song of the Day. Robert Plant, 72 years old. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you were listening to his solo stuff. What a great performer. What a great singer. Love it. Have a great day. It's Sunday. Have a wonderful day, actually, because it's going to be nice out there. So, Song of the Day, 7.5 minutes. Not too bad. As usual, we'll see you on the flip side.